Welcome back to another episode of Real with Ryan. On this episode, I'm going to be answering a question that I get a lot, and that is, how do I take Ollie and the dogs on such good board rides? I call it dog boarding. It's really the best way for me to exercise Ollie. So I'm going to kind of like show you how I do that, show you how I taught my parents' dog to take me dog boarding, and then maybe how you can do that as well. I do want to say that any sort of dog boarding or biking with your dog is extremely dangerous, not only for you, but for your dog as well. So honestly, for most people, I wouldn't recommend doing this, but if you do so, just know that you are doing it at you and your dog's own risk. So with that in mind, I'm going to try to show you all of the safe ways to kind of do this. But yes, this is definitely a risky thing. So I want to start with, what you can use, and, I'll just show you what I use quickly. Starting off with my board, if you are doing this, with a board, I would recommend a longboard, something that has big wheels, so you can see like how large those wheels are compared to, this is a standard skateboard, and how small these wheels are. What the wheels do, they let you, when they're bigger, go over things like rocks, go over cracks in the road, and it really just provides a smoother ride, but also much safer. So this is a loaded Tantien, but any sort of longboard probably will work well. I will say that instead of boarding, I actually recommend, probably taking a bike is going to be the best solution for most people who are interested in doing this. And the reason for that is bikes already have these built-in brakes. And so there's a few things that you have to keep in mind when you're biking with your dog. But being able to brake is really the key thing on both boarding and biking. And then I have a helmet, and I recommend a helmet to everyone who's doing anything like this. You might notice that in some of my videos I'm not wearing a helmet, and it is definitely unwise. I recommend everyone wear a helmet all the time, but I've been doing this for more than 5 years now, and I haven't crashed in a very, very long time, so I feel confident without the helmet, but I highly recommend the helmet for everyone. So now, we'll talk about what I put on Ollie, and it's relatively straightforward. It is these two things. These are the harness, and so this is one that's called Embark. I got it off Amazon, and it's only like a $20 harness off Amazon. It was a long time ago, but it is held up like a champion. It's got chest padding, so it kind of protects his chest. And if you are dog boarding, you should get a harness. Now, some people have said I need to get a pulling harness, a X-back harness, which I'm going to look into, but definitely use a harness that will take the weight off their neck and put it on their chest. And I'll show Ollie with that harness in a little bit. And then as far as leashes go, I really use just about the most standard leash you can get. I have heard suggestions that a bungee leash would be better for their back. It wouldn't put so much tension. But one thing I do, just because I wakeboarded for a long time, is whenever I'm going, I can bend my arm, and I let my arm in and out to kind of be a natural bungee cord. So this really is all the equipment that I use to longboard Ollie. Before you take your dog dog boarding, you have to be able to ride a skateboard or a longboard well enough yourself first. To know you're ready, you need to be able to foot brake all the time and very well. You have to be able to stop your dog in case you see cars, people, or other types of dogs. This is a foot brake. Whenever you're boarding, you have to be able to pull your foot down like this to stop yourself. And you should be able to do it while going downhill. So practice pushing, riding, foot braking to a stop. If you can't do that, you need to get better at boarding before you should longboard your dogs. So now I've got my helmet on and I've got Ollie strapped up on his harness. I'm gonna take you on a longboard ride with Ollie and kind of show you some of the commands that I use. And you'll notice before I say every single cue or command, I call out Ollie ready, ready, and then I do the command. And so I'll have some examples of that and show you the different ones that I have. Okay, so the first command is the command that I use to like go, to start the longboard ride. I have this command because every time he's on the leash and on the harness, I don't want him to just be trying to sprint around and pull me around. So I use a command to start the longboard. And if we're at a stop, we start going with this command. And this command can be anything you want to do. If you like Avatar, The Last Airbender, you can use yip yip as a command. Zoom zoom if you like bolt, but I'll show you which one mine is. Ollie, are you ready? We're rolling. Boy. Good boy. Woo! So we're coming up to a stop sign. So what I do is say, Ollie, slow. And I drag my foot. Ollie, ready? Stop. And I do that every single time we come up to a stop sign. We're coming up, I say slow, and I start dragging my foot. I say, Ollie, ready, slow, slow, stop. And so then we stop at the stop sign, and you do this every single time, and he eventually learns that at intersections, at stop signs, he's just automatically supposed to stop. But using your foot brake to come up to a stop sign, you can stop your dog. And then when you're ready to go, you say, Ollie, we're rolling. So another question people ask me is like, hey, you know, how do you like stop if you see someone coming, or if you see dogs coming or a car coming, what do you do? But one thing that we have to be able to do is move from the sidewalk to the street and from the street to the sidewalk, and do so very easily. So if someone's walking up the sidewalk towards us with their dog, we need to be able to either stop right there or go into the street to avoid that person and their dog, or else it's going to be chaos, just full sprint into people. Same way, if we're in the street and we see cars coming and need to get off the street, we need to be able to stop and get off, or transition to the sidewalk as quick as we can safely. So we have two commands, and over time we have taught Ollie and my dogs the difference between what the street is and then what the sidewalk is. And we do this by, let's say we're on the sidewalk right now, and I'll show you this in a second. We're gonna come up to the sidewalk, or one of these driveways, which is like a transition, and I'll say, Ollie, street. And then we move from the sidewalk into the street. So if we're in the street and I need to be moving to the sidewalk, we'll come up on the street and I'll say, Ollie, ready, sidewalk. And kind of with a little tug of the leash, we'll move from the sidewalk to the street, or the street to the sidewalk. And I'll show you that in just a second. One thing I also teach Ollie is the difference between right, left, and cross. So if we're at a stop sign, or we're just going somewhere fast and there needs to be a turn made, I want Ollie to be able to tell which direction he should go. And so I say, Ollie, ready, left, ready, right, or if we're going straight, ready, cross. And I use that cross command every time we cross a street or go straight. At first, they won't understand this, but over time and given repetition and practice, they start to actually learn the difference between what left means, and that means to turn left, and then right means to turn right. And I'll demonstrate that here in a second. Okay, so we're coming up on a turn and I want him to go left. So I say, Ollie, left. And I'll pull the leash a little bit, and he'll just go left. So let's say I'm coming up this street with him and we see that a car turns onto the street and we need to get off the street and onto the sidewalk. I'll show you up here how I would do that. All right, come on, we're rolling. And so if there's a car coming, I'll say, Ollie, ready, sidewalk, and carve over. Ready, street, and carve over, just like that. Ready, right. Good boy. Slow, ready, sidewalk. Good boy. Good boy. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Ready? Street. Good boy. Just like that. Teaching Gus how to do it. He's never been on a longboard ride before, so let's see if we can do it. Step one, we got to get him put into a harness. Okay, now that we have a harness on him, it's time to introduce him to the longboard. So we're going to take him outside. So step one of teaching your dog to longboard is actually just walking with a longboard or the board you're trying to ride with in hand. Gus doesn't seem to mind, but some dogs will just get really freaked out by the fact that there's a board around. So if they're getting freaked out, just simply walk them around while holding whatever vehicle it is you'll be riding with them on. Get them used to being on the harness and being next to this board. Okay, and now we're just gonna put this on the ground. See, he's sniffing it. He's a little unsure, a little freaked out, but that's gonna be okay. And so we're just gonna start by pretty much walking speed and just walking next to him, kind of pushing the board along. I'm not riding the board, I'm just walking with the board, letting him see it, letting him know that this board is a-okay. And see, he's a little bit nervous, but it's not too bad. He's like, what the heck? What is that thing? Why is it making noise? But we're just gonna do this for a few minutes and let him get used to this board rolling, because if we start too fast, he'll get freaked out. And then every time he sees this board, he's gonna think of that bad time he got freaked out by it. All right, and whenever your dog seems comfortable with the board, like Gus seems, you can start to ride it and just do it very slowly. I'm not gonna push it all. I'm just gonna let him kind of run. And he's actually, oh, see, he sped up there and he got freaked out, and so I had to brake. If you didn't know how to brake there, he would have just taken off and you might have crashed. He would have just kept on speeding up to run away from the board, and it would have been bad. So we're just gonna start going again. And he's nervous of the board, but we're just gonna go slow. And I'm dragging my foot on the ground this whole time, keeping us going slow. And now, yeah, see, he's a little freaked out, but I'm in full control here. In full control of how fast we're going. And we're just gonna keep on going at this speed. If he starts getting too freaked out, then I'll stop and go back to walking with the board. But this is pretty good. And so here's an example of why you gotta be able to stop. Here's a person coming, he's getting freaked out. And so we're just gonna stop right here and then let this person up here pass. That person passed and he's doing a little bit better. So now we're gonna just let him get used to it. He likes to run, so he's starting to get used to being out front, and he's enjoying. He's starting to pick up a little more speed, still a bit nervous. You can see him looking back, but he's liking this. And so now, you see, I'm dragging my foot, keeping in control, and now he's spooked. So he got spooked, and you gotta be able to get off the van, or get off the board, stop, and get control. All right, now he's doing pretty good.
He's going pretty quick, getting comfortable. He's learning that he can run. He probably doesn't know what to do at turns, so you have to slow down and go slow around turns. All right, and there's a dog up here, so we're gonna come over into the street. Come over to this side. Good boy. Very good. Good boy. Oh, look at him go. He's enjoying it. Yeah. And so it's been a few minutes. He's slowly getting used to the board. Still a little freaked out by it, but he's starting to get more comfortable. Learn that he can just kind of run. He doesn't know to not stand in front of the board yet, so you have to be able to brake when needed. But look at him, he's starting to put a smile on his face. Enjoy the breeze. That's a happy golden. He's really starting to enjoy it now. Oop, he thought about running in front of the board, and that's the big thing you have to be careful of, is when your dog is just learning, they might randomly stop in front of you. You have to be able to put your foot down and brake. Okay, buddy, let's go in the street, and we're gonna just slowly come over here. I'm gonna be consistent about whenever we're stopping. I'd say stop, and I put my foot down and have a stop. Good boy. And then I say we're rolling, and we start rolling. Whenever you're coming to a stop sign, you need to go left, say left. And over the course of time, they're gonna slowly start to remember these commands and be able to pull you. He's already getting relaxed, loose leash, doing well. All right, sidewalk. And I'm slowly getting him over to the sidewalk. Good boy. Good boy. Look, he's having a fantastic time now. He's having a fantastic time. Good boy. And so I'm just gonna go at his pace. However fast he's kind of wanting to try it, I'm gonna be pushing to match his speed and let him control the ride for probably a handful of times. And then he'll slowly get more and more comfortable.
So that's it. You start slow with your dog and you start to get them used to running next to the board, and over time they'll get more comfortable. They'll start to learn the commands and start to enjoy pulling you on the longboard. So that was the full video of how I taught Ollie how to longboard and how I can do it safely, and how perhaps if you want to try it, you can do it safely too and teach your dog. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment below and I'll answer any and everything that comes. But thank you for watching. Thank you for dogboarding with me. And as always, thank you for keeping it real with Ryan.